On a beautiful spring day, tailgating began 5 hours ago here at Nassau Coliseum on the grounds of historic Mitchell Airfield, Long Island, New York. 2 games have been played. The New York Islanders took one, the Washington Capitals the other. Now a venue change. Down to the ice, Pierre Maguire and Islanders captain John Tavares.
Thanks very much, Doc. 2 games in this series. What have you liked about your team's performance so far?
I just like the composure we played with. There's been just confidence within our group, any situation. So we're back home and make sure we keep that, especially playing in front of our home fans. We know it's going to be a great environment. We got to thrive on that.
John, what needs to be better coming off of game number 2?
We just got to play a little more aggressive, stay with the way we want to play for a full 60 minutes. There's times when the team's going to make a push, but we got to find a way to get that momentum back.
This building is a living, breathing piece of history. How do you make sure your group doesn't get caught up in the moment here?
Stay disciplined. I think we've done a good job of that. Understand the way we need to play and use that energy in the right way. Go out there and play between the whistles.
Thanks for doing this, John. Have a blast in Game 3.
Thanks, Pierre.
Only 24. Second year as Islanders captain. John Tavares finished second in the regular season, scoring by just 1 point behind Dallas's Jamie Benn. You walk into this place built back in 1972, and you are immediately confronted with a glorious past. Long before the salary cap era of 2005, this was the last franchise to win 3 Stanley Cups in a row, let alone the 4 that they won. And they were in the Stanley Cup final 5 straight times from 1980 to 84. Many of the fans here today saw that and are also seeing this new exciting edition of the Islanders today. Islander fans aren't shy. They have much to celebrate after a long absence from significant games, and they know that after this spring shouting is over, the team will move to Brooklyn. But that's then. That's not today. And we expect for that reason their hearts and their voices will be really into this. Now let's check in with the studio.
Welcome to the Honda NBC Sports Desk.
The first Sunday of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Liam McHugh alongside Mike Milbury and Keith Jones. We're going to talk about the game out on Long Island in a moment, but we begin in New York City, where last night one of the greats of the game broke out, paid the price, and evened the score. Game 2, Pens Rangers, Sidney Crosby. 1 goal over his previous 19 postseason games in the second period, though. Sweet relief. He follows the play, pokes it home, and gives Pittsburgh the 2-1 lead. Later on in the same period, Kunitz with the assist, Crosby with the goal, his 43rd career playoff goal in the third. A scary moment, though.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Blindside kind of contact there from Carl Hagelin. Crosby laid out and then working the jaw a little bit on the bench, but he would return to the game. Great news for Pittsburgh.
That series tied up 1 game apiece. Detroit, Tampa Bay. Power play 0 for 7 in game 1. Drought over. Tyler Johnson makes it 1-0, and here in the second, like he shot out of a cannon.
Well, to quote the great Dark Helmet, this is ludicrous speed. Unbelievable by Johnson. He takes off and makes it look easy. Good afternoon for him and for the Lightning.
Remember, Mike, evil will always win because good is dumb. Minnesota, St. Louis, Vladimir Tarasenko, 1-0.
Yeah, he's not just good, he's great. Look at the hands on him there. A nice play by Steen getting it to the net. Tarasenko tips it in, and then the Blues have the lead.
Tarasenko, a hat trick on the day.
Short side goal. Tough one to give up if you're Dubnyk, but that's what good players do. They find an opening and make it work, and Tarasenko was busy making it work yesterday.
That series tied up 1-1. Winnipeg, Anaheim, the Ducks, they were down a goal heading into the third just the way they like it.
We've seen this routine before, second time in this series that the Ducks get the lead with that power play goal. They come back with the winner right here.
21 seconds remaining, Jakob Silfverberg.
He slips out of the corner, just gets a fraction of a short side opening, and that's all it needs.
Ducks grabbed the first 2 games of that series at home. Let's swing it back to the game ahead. The Nassau Coliseum has been the Islanders' home for 43 years, but next season they are bound for Brooklyn. Last run in the old barn, you know the building well. What do you expect?
It's not pretty, but it's really pretty special. People will be there early, and they'll be charged up, and they're expecting great stuff. I mean, they still use stencils to make their sign at the old Coliseum. That's how old it is, but it is loud. Narrow seating, cramped together. Nobody bothers with any of that. They come in with a purpose. That's to cheer on their team. It's got a great tradition. This will be a special afternoon. They know it won't be much longer before this team moves off to Brooklyn, and they want to send it off with a bang. game.
You're expecting a great atmosphere. The Caps are expecting to have Braden Holtby back in net. He missed the previous game. He was out. He was sick. Now, last game, Barry Trotz reunited his stars, Alexander Ovechkin and Nicholas Backstrom. What would you do today? Would you keep them together or separate?
I would leave them together. There is that option to go back to, I believe, the Islanders, because of what Mike just said, are going to come out flying here. So there is the chance to separate them at home, especially with some of the matchups with Capuano having the last change. But Ovechkin got on the board in game number 2. An outstanding job by him and starting to get the offense going. Backstrom picked up a goal. It's been a while since he scored. It worked. Stay with it if you're Barry Trotz, but don't hesitate to switch it back if you have to, if the Islanders are bringing the heat.
Quickly, right out of the gate, what would you like to see from the New York Islanders? Jack Capuano said the last game his team didn't deserve it.
No, but they started very well, and I think they'll be charged up with the energy. They have to keep it under control. I mean, it can't overestimate how loud this will be in that building. And John Tavares talked about it. He said we have to use it, but we can't get overwhelmed by it and start to make stupid decisions.
16 playoff games are in the books. Every team has played twice. The first game 3 moments away. It features 2 of the most dynamic players in the game, the Caps, Alexander Ovechkin, the Islanders, John Tavares.
NBC Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the Stanley Cup Playoffs.
Friday night in the nation's capital, with a 2-0 series deficit staring them in the face.
Score, Ovechkin!
Washington surged to life for a crucial comeback victory to settle the score.
Capitals have their first lead.
Now the series shifts to an old barn, once referred to as Fort Never Lose.
The Islanders win the Stanley Cup.
A dynasty remembered in this historic arena's final season. But can they recapture the winning formula displayed in Game 1?
The Islanders seal the deal.
They look to the past for strength in hopes of delaying the end of an era on Long Island. Game 3 next. From raucous Nassau Coliseum, Uniondale, New York, it's the Stanley Cup Playoffs on NBC, presented by Geico. The scene has shifted, the series even after 2. It's the Islanders and the Capitals. Good afternoon, everyone. Along with Eddie Olczyk, Pierre Maguire a bit later on, I'm Mike Emmerich. Washington lost the first game, won the second one. What made the difference for them?
Well, I think it was their team defense, Doc. Philip Grubauer, the backup goaltender, came in, did the job. Braden Holtby will be in goal here this afternoon, but it was their physical play. I think it really set Game 1 and Game 2 apart. Doc, a lot more emotion, according to Barry Trotz, the head coach of the Washington Capitals. He out-hit the Islanders 59-38. That's part of their identity. But for me, Doc, it was their neutral zone play that really allowed them to win Game 2. Timely goals. You need them from Alexander Ovechkin. Score them a lot of different ways. Beautiful play here by Nicholas Backstrom. A parting of the Red Sea there by the Islanders. And then Jason Chimera, not on the first attempt, but the second one, Doc. So I would expect the Capitals to want to play that physical style here against the Islanders.
I heard the first Let's Go Islanders chant this morning at 7 o'clock in the parking lot of the hotel. What about the Islanders today?
Well, you got to look at their best player, John Tavares, Doc, and matchups are such an important part of the playoffs, and I would expect Jack Capuano, the head coach of the Islanders, to try to get John Tavares away from Brooks Orpik and John Carlson. Tavares has 2 assists in the series. He only has 2 shots on goal. And think about it. His 2 shots didn't come until the second period of Game 2. He has the ability to be a difference maker. Watch the matchups. Can he get away from that matchup Washington wants? That could be the difference in here in Game 3.
So the drama builds, as it always does when a series is even and there's a change to a different city. We'll hear the national anthem and take you to the first face-off from Long Island next. The Stanley Cup playoffs on NBC are brought to you by the Discover It card, the card that treats you like you'd treat you. By DQ, the home of fan food, not fast food. Hashtag love my DQ. By Bridgestone, your journey, our passion. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance.
swear I lived.
Ahead, but not now. One last moment of calm, a tribute to country introduced by PA announcer Roger Luce.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats. And welcome Amanda Koletsky as she performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
That quiet before this storm. The Honda starting goalies. Braden Holtby is back in for the Capitals, sidelined for a game by illness, well enough to step in today. 41 wins this season, personal record, tied the franchise record. Yaroslav Halak in goal for the Islanders, 38 wins this past season, a personal record, franchise record. Captain Alexander Ovechkin starts, goal-scoring champion for the 5th time, got one in Game 2. Captain John Tavares starts on a career year, doing his best on Long Island to get these fans some of yesterday's fire. New venue. And we begin with a John Carlson pass. Ovechkin run into by Boychuk. Leddy retrieves for the Islander defense. Carlson threw it well wide, nearly got the referee. Banked around behind, Leddy turning there, could not control. Yanked on through for Ward by Backstrom. Ward hit, down he goes on a lean from Boychuk. Pulling free is Backstrom. Delays some more and is locked up by Leddy. Coming to help is Ward. Coming to help on him is Strome. So Leddy, and then Boychuk. And the first shift change of the game. Leddy brings it on and gives it to Tavares. Steps in and shot one that's turned aside by Holtby. Rushed along and then run into was Jay Beagle, but he got it on filtered to center. Fair ran into Kyle Opozo as Beagle tries to pull in deep. Wisnowski saw that one kick away. Nielsen fed. Poked on out by Josh Bailey. Breezing ahead is Nielsen. Gave it to Wisnowski for a shot that's deflected to the glass.
Good block by Alzner.
Alzner locked up there. Meanwhile, leaning in a bit was Niskanen. It's pumped on along, and Beagle can take over. Gave it on out as far as Chimera. That is the chant directed by the last name of the Capitals goaltender, who can play this one. Let it back around again, and Gleason is run into. The shock troops are out there right now for the Islanders. Clutterbuck registered the second one, Martin the first. And trying to register one was Calvin DeHaan. And then Martin rams into Gleason.
This is chaos right now, and that's what the Islanders want. Organized chaos.
It is Cizikas sweeping one, and Clutterbuck retrieving and banking it behind.
Good effective shift for the fourth line for the Islanders.
Over 900 hits this season for those three guys. 28 already in 2 games of the season of this series. It is sent to the point for Leddy, and that shot blocked along by Troy Brouwer. Curling with it back now, it's Kennedy, and the only change in the Islander lineup puts it on goal for a Holtby stop and a gathering of people.
A little bit of a push by Anders Lee in the back of Braden Holtby. And then Nelson with a little nudge as he made that save and didn't give up a rebound.
People haven't watched the New York Islanders, and one thing they better get used to is guys like Matt Martin. Tim Gleason's a big hombre. Matt Martin runs him right over. And Eddie, you talk about Braden Holtby. Here's an example of some of his work.
Yeah, just putting this puck really in a no man's land here for Tim Gleason. Gleason's expecting a tape on tape, and Matt Martin comes in, finishes his check. And then Clutterbuck comes in, and a real good shift for that fourth line.
Leddy across, Boychuk the shot. And along it comes near Kuhlman, but it's picked up by Backstrom. Checked right off his stick by Tavares for Strome to hand back. And for Boychuk to give to Leddy. Nick Leddy ahead. Former Chicago Blackhawk and a Stanley Cup winner there. Sees this one controlled by the opposition, and Carlson off Ovechkin, directed out of play into the Islander bench.
Well, you're mentioning Nick Leddy, and you want to throw Johnny Boychuk into that mix. 2 guys picked up right before the season started by general manager Garth Snow, and when you can pick up those 2 guys at the start of the season and put them in your top 4, and you could argue their top pair playing up against Alexander Ovechkin, that's a windfall for Garth Snow and the New York Islanders to get 2 top 4 defensemen into their grouping.
And you never gave up a roster player, which is even more amazing.
And both teams in some salary cap issues. That's why they were expendable.
Bears down.
Oposo with a big hit.
Oposo fed one. Nielsen got it back. It's tapped over to Thomas Hickey. Sent across. One-timer by Nielsen, blocked off. Scramble for it there. Blocked out of the way by the goal stick of Holtby. Fielded by Niskanen and bounced on out to center. And offside.
Now the Islanders are playing with an energy here in Game 3 that we did not see in Game number 2. And part of it is because of this rambunctious crowd. Tom Wilson right in front of me challenging Oposo, but there's the chance that Braden Holtby shuts it down, Eddie.
And then here's that hit, a good hard hit by Oposo on Fair. Took Eric Fair some time to get back to the front of the net. That was shoulder on shoulder.
That's chaos down here. Tom Wilson challenging Oposo. The referee and the linesman trying to get Wilson to the Washington Capitals bench. Finally, Shane Heyer gets him to the bench, but Curtis Glencross takes a penalty. Power play Islanders.
Unsportsmanlike conduct was the call made by the official, Kevin Pollock.
As you see Francois Saint Laurent explain all of this to Barry Trotz, the coach of the Capitals, Kevin Pollock has done the same to both captains at center ice. It was Paul Newman who said it, and Butch Cassidy. Let's just get the rules straight here before a scrap that we've already seen. Unsportsmanlike conduct to Glencross. Power play to the Islanders. It's one on back to Leddy. Handed on across again for the hold there. And a shot is blocked away by Holtby. Scramble in front as the shot came from Frans Nielsen. Leddy again. Hands across to Tavares, then back to Leddy. Has Nielsen plays to him. Tavares creeping in. It's sent around in front. Sparred for there. Blocked off by Holtby, and he's able to cover.
Oh, good save with the left pad. Anders Lee looking for a second chance opportunity off the little give and go from Lee to Oposo. What's the left part of your screen? Anders Lee's going to drop off to the side of the net, looking for a pass. He gets it. He tries to one-time it right over, and there's that chance for Anders Lee. Good stick from John Carlson.
I love their set, though, Eddie. The I formation in front of Braden Holtby. The one-time pass from Anders Lee is available to Kyle Oposo, so they're stacking the slot. the New York Islanders are. A change from game numbers 1 and 2 in Washington.
Carlson for the shorthanded Caps pushes it back down. Another thing you will notice, unlike many arenas, the organist plays constantly when there is a stoppage, and the crowd responds to him. He's Paul Cartier, and you didn't think somebody played for the Yankees and Islanders both. He does. This one deflected up out of play. You will hear him often today. What an atmosphere inside this place. 4:17 played in the first period. 6 shots, all by the Islanders thus far.
Well, the Washington Capitals again challenging Kyle Oposo, and he says, "You're not allowed to hit in this league anymore."
Angled to the back and held by Johnny Boychuk. Kept alive. And a feed in front and delaying. They're trying to jam it in. Brock Nelson, no luck. Tapped onto the back. Wisniewski with it there. The veteran plays it along, but it is sailed back out again by Matt Niskanen. 2 shots for the Islanders on this power play. 7 thus far in the game.
And that hit that Eric Fair took from Kyle Oposo, he made his way to the Capitals dressing room in that last TV timeout.
Wisniewski handed it across. Boychuk a drive. Blocked out in front. Another save made by Holtby. Angled on back. Wisniewski with it. Holtby has been strong. Boychuk fakes. Wisniewski takes and looks over the action. Driving it back along now to Ryan Strome. Strome with a goal in both of the first 2 games. Wisniewski. Boychuk. Threw one in front, deflected there, but not well by Nelson. Had to retrieve. It's fed in front by Strome and lifted back out again.
Nice play by Chimera to come all the way down with the low coverage by the Capitals defense. Good position, was able to airmail it down.
To the last 7 of the penalty kill for Washington. DeHaan dropped it back in. It skips along to Holtby. Forces it back from where it came. Thrown further by Backstrom. Picked up by Beagle. He got it out to center. Was nearly run off by Oposo. Full strength action. Penalty killed by the Capitals. Capitals are 4 for 4 in the series in killing off penalties. Halak's puck to play. Then DeHaan. Then Kuleman. Then on to Oposo. Picks up Tavares. Kuleman. Tavares. Back in. Oposo. Run off at the half boards, but continues to battle for it. Pushed it on back now for Hickey, and Hickey's shot was blocked away by Backstrom. Beagle goes after it there, but it's Kuleman prevailing. Got it back. Wisniewski, a shot that's grabbed by Braden Holtby. 6:18 gone. First period of play. No score. The ice inside the glass. Here's Pierre.
Well, the Islanders played well in games 1 and 2. One thing that didn't work very well for them, their power play. So they've gone to work, and Dougie Waite's a tremendous architect on the power play. Double stacking the slot, trying to get more slot area presence against Braden Holtby and the Washington Capitals. So you can see a lot of blue sweaters there, and they got more than one. They usually have 2, and there's Dougie Waite, a tremendous player out of Lake Superior State. What a career he had in the National Hockey League, and a Stanley Cup winner with Carolina.
Holtby magnificent so far. Cizikas brings it in through one that Holtby is able to stop. And even after the whistle, a gentle bump between Brouwer and Matt Martin. Martin is the only guy that's over 6 feet on this crunch line that they have. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. No, that's a good point, too, with Matt Martin. He knows his role pretty well, crunching people. In junior, he used to crunch guys for a guy by the name of Steven Stamkos when they played in Sarnia. But talking about, I was going to ask Eddie about Dougie Waite on the power play. Eddie, I think you would speak to it. One of the more creative players over time in his career.
Yeah, one of those guys that could really run a power play quarterback or whatever verbiage you want to use. And be able to see through and know what's going to happen before it does on the shorthanded side.
Kennedy's shot hit the back of Olsner, is played along now for Johansson. Slipped it ahead, but Hickey cut it off there and just looks over his options. Full strength action here, 6:45 gone. First period of play. The shot's 11-0 Islanders. Feathered on out to center ice and carried on by Brouwer, but nicely punched away by Hickey and curling back Anders Lee. Hickey again and Wisniewski. That's the defense tandem for the Islanders right now, as this one directed back in by Lee and retrieved by Niskanen. Shouldered by Lee. Reaching in was Brock Nelson, but that one punched aside where it can be brought back out by Orpik. And jabbed back in again by Backstrom, and in his way was Leddy. Johnny Boychuk with a pass that's cut off by Joel Ward, and then Boychuk able to turn it back over to Kuhlman. Steps in and fires! Oh, just over the glove of Holtby off the glass.
Boy, he was really out far from the blue paint there, and that puck almost came back over the net and took a piece of Holtby and going back the other way.
Brooks Orpik brings it on, lobs it back in. Orpik, the hit leader in the series at 16 when the game began. Oh, and Ovechkin got Tavares. Not all of him, but some, as Ward finesses to the front, but then it's lost and covered by Halak.
Right in, Doc. The one thing Alexander Ovechkin knows so well is the people that are playing against him. And in this case, it's Johnny Boychuk, and he goes after them. Most people think Ovechkin takes a lot of the hits. He's not afraid to give them out, too. And good on Ovechkin. I think he's had a tremendous season, obviously, but an outstanding start to this playoff season.
One of 15 Capitals who is average or above average in size, 6'1", 205. 15 of them. A very large number. Off this tie-up, it comes to the back. Gleason there, drive, and that deflected wide. Brushed along by Straight, and curling with it is Nielsen. Right on the money for Bailey, who marches back up with a Pozo. Has DeHaan breaking, Bailey delays, and we get a halt to play and a penalty coming up.
Going to be on Cole DeHaan. Pointing right at the Island defenseman who was jumping into the play.
You got Mike Green, Eddie, right there.
Sure enough, Calvin DeHaan to the box, and the Capitals 1 for 3 in the series on the power play. A very low penalty minute series. When you are in your third game early and you've had now a total of 8 power plays together. Slight in penalties, but not in hitting. Cal Clutterbuck saw it gloved down by Ovechkin. Ovechkin got it on across the Backstrom in front. Oh, and Brouwer shoveled it wide. Try to the front by Johansson fails. Pushed on to the back, and it's held by Carlson. Met there by Cizikas. It's given on to Backstrom. Deals it back in deep, and it's held by Johansson. Given to Backstrom again. Ovechkin to his side, shooting, and that went wide. You know that's where it's going to come a lot of the time. Backstrom deals it back in. Gets it back from Johansson. In front, jabbed at by Johansson, but also by Halak. Ovechkin able to take it here. Pestered by Clutterbuck. Around it swirls now for Backstrom. Shoveled there and jousted a bit by Boychuk, and Cizikas able to muscle it out to center. Cizikas able to drive it back in, and he comes to the bench for a change. He and Clutterbuck play big, but they are not even 6 feet. One barely 200 pounds, and the other 190. Brought right back ahead now, and worked across for Glenn Cross, and then around for Ward, and a shot by Ovechkin is blocked. Nielsen paws at Ovechkin. It's swatted along by Straight, thrown off the boards behind. More battling in the corner. Kuznetsov tried to get free, but Kuhlman played it back down. 2 shots on this power play. 3 in the game for the Capitals, 11 for the Islanders, nearing the halfway point of the first period. Kuznetsov slung it back. Faking the drive was Green, and a shot directed wide. Getting a piece of it, Glenn Cross. Dragged on by Brock Nelson. Did not clear the way he wanted to. Niskanen bounces it on in. Kuznetsov after it in an onside play. Hickey passes. Sent back along by Boychuk, who's buried a bit there by Brooks Light. Taken ahead now by Strome, and Strome has Tavares. Got it to him. Tavares trying to get through, and he cannot. Right back the other way. It's Niskanen nudging it on. 3-on-1, and the pass misfired for Beagle.
Sorry, Doc. Islanders only had 4 players on the ice for about 5 or 6 seconds there. That was a 3-on-1 with only 4 players on the ice.
That is correct.
Battled along the boards and up to a Pozo. Turned on back, Wisnowski, intercepted, but it could not be finessed on by Beagle. Can be by Strome. Fed one to a Pozo, and that shot geared wide, and another by Tavares is blocked aside by Holtby. More collisions. Bounced up the boards. DeHaan had it chipped into him. still alive at the half boards, peeled off by Tavares, given to DeHaan, and the bouncer is covered by Braden Holtby, who has been busy but successful here in the first. 11 crunching minutes played and no score.
A lot of emotion, a lot of energy in the building right now. How do you make sure your guys don't become a little too emotional?
Well, we've had it all year long with this crowd. I think we've accepted it real well. We just got to play with pace. I think we're doing a good job executing right now.
I know Braden Holtby likes to handle the puck. Are you happy with your shooting so far?
Yeah, so far so good. You know, we talked about it before the game. He can break the puck out real well, alleviate our forecheck, but our guys have had good structure.
Thanks a lot, Jack.
All right, thank you.
Jack Capuano, 48 years of age, fourth full year here in Long Island. From the tie-up and the battle, emerging is Niskanen, nudges it back on. So there's always that coach speak about the first 10 minutes going into an enemy building and surviving it. Capitals have, aided greatly by their goaltender. Glencross, but cut. Opposo, but Niskanen. DeHaan and Straight, the defensive tandem for Jack Capuano's Islanders. Bailey led it across, carried on by Opposo. Fakes the drive, works to the outside, has Nielsen drifting toward the front, but it's given on up. So Brooks Orpik takes over. He and Carlson. A shift change for the Capitals right now. Kuznetsov fires it back around one of those glass supports. Boychuk nearly hit by Brouwer. And then a chance that's just knifed away from Martin on a good reflex action by Tim Gleason. Gleason able to play, and he's run into there by Clutterbuck. Clutterbuck moves along. Gleason wedges with him. Capitals try to get further. Matt Martin harassing. Thrown along, and Martin couldn't stop that one, and we get an offside call anyway.
I'm going to go back to that play I made mention, is that the Islanders were in this position here where they had 4 players on the ice, right? And look at the Capitals. They're coming back the other way. This is a 3-on-1. Look on the right part of your screen by the Islander bench. They realize they only have 4 guys on the ice. Now they're going to try and get back and make it an even strength situation. But a missed opportunity there for the Capitals with a 3-on-1 from their blue line in.
Well, it's been a passion-filled game so far, and Calvin DeHaan's going to bear the brunt of that Jason Chimera hit. Not only does he get hit, he gets his helmet ripped off. That did not please the Islander bench. The Capitals aren't happy with some of the things Oposo's doing. This thing is heating up very quickly.
Jason Chimera, the winning goal in Game 2. He has 9 playoff goals, and 5 of them are game winners. 2 of the additional ones tied the game. All of life is timing. Played across and nudged back out again by Nelson. Angled back in, and it can be peeled off. And then wiping out was Hickey. Gave up to Beagle in a direction in front, and a battle there by Wilson. Scramble there, and without a mask is Halak. And the whistle blows, and then Wilson moves in on the pile, and the pile responds.
Now, Doc and Eddie, you could feel this and hear it down here between the 2 benches. This started right from the start of the game. This is going to be a nasty, mean-spirited, very, very physical Game 3.
I don't think there's a thing wrong with that.
No.
It's the electric atmosphere in the arena is one thing. The response of the players makes me think back to a time when my hair was not gray. Yeah, see, you did it to him, I'm doing it to you. Well, he's doing it to me because I did it to you.
Thomas Hickey's such a great story. 4th overall pick in his draft year. 5 full years in the American Hockey League, playing for the Los Angeles Kings team in Manchester. For Mark Morris, gets put on waivers, gets claimed by the Islanders. The rest is history. He's been a foundation player for these Islanders in the back end.
20 hits in the game, equally divided. Caps have responded here to an emotional start for the Islanders. Joel Ward brings it on. Leddy watching him. Ward swings one wide. Rebound, and Backstrom checked off tightly by Johnny Boychuk. Orpik and Carlson the defense. Ovechkin playing up front. Ward the opposite winger, and the centerman is Backstrom. Backstrom feeds, Ovechkin takes. Trying to get by, nice denial by Leddy. Angled back off for Tavares, given back out to Opozo. Picks up Kuhlman and gains the zone. Pretty fancy. Opozo got it on a cross. Straight a shot, and that held by Holtby. We want to see the Stanley Cup playoffs from your perspective, whether you're at the game, at the bar, or at home. Share your experience with the hashtag #MyPlayoffsMoment. You could also be at a horse track, as Eddie Olczyk will be at the Kentucky Derby and some other major events this year. We're pleased for you, but we will miss you in a couple weeks.
Thank you much, Doc. 13 days to the first Saturday in May.
So, Eddie, as you're handicapping the Washington Capitals without Eric Fehr, how do you move around the players?
You get more ice time to 8 and 19. You're Barry Trotz.
Agreed.
Nielsen nudges it on. Opozo brings it further. Hands back on for straight. The dump and chase this time. Alzner broke that, and it's tipped on further, but regathered by Opozo and dealt toward the front of the net. Josh Bailey had a chance at kicking at that one, but it just did not carry him right for the Islanders, and so it's Alzner giving it back across for Niskanen. And the blast from Knighty goes wide. 13 shots to 4 in favor of the Islanders. No score in this game. Cizikas brings it ahead. Crisscrosses there with Bailey and gives it to him. Gleason goes to work on Bailey. Along for Cizikas, but it flew through him. Clutterbuck gets the man. Did not get the puck that time. Checking his skate now is Johansson, as this is kept by Martin. Got it to Clutterbuck, and a shot was snuffled down. That time in a good defensive play by Mike Green. Turning with it is Chimera. Chimera fed it on over, and it's directed away by Martin. Halak watches as it's taken around behind and wheeled to the outside by Glenn Cross. To the back now. Green is shot, and it's grabbed by Halak. 5:14 left, first period of play. What do you think so far? You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs presented by Geico on NBC.
This has been a mayhem-filled kind of a game. And you see Cal Clutterbuck on Marcus Johansson. Big hit, solid hit, not dirty. Johansson eventually will leave the ice, not feeling very well. There's Cal Clutterbuck. He is a mayhem maker in the league, but he understands his role. And that was a good hockey trade, Eddie and Doc, when the Islanders acquired Cal Clutterbuck from Minnesota for Nino Niederreiter. And then earlier in the game, see Eric Fehr. Carlo Poso gets him, and Eric Fehr has yet to return.
It is Strome, but Tavares can't take it. Instead, it's Kuhlman popping it right back in, and Brooks Orpik goes to work. Ward and Orpik. Ovechkin ahead and takes that one, directs it on through the legs for Backstrom. He's got Ward breaking, drops it onto the back, but Ovechkin couldn't stop, and it was coming to center anyway. So now Brooks Orpik hands it across, and Carlson plays ahead, ladled right back in again by Backstrom, pursued by Boychuk, and he's able to tap it along to Leddy. Back the other way they come. Tyler Kennedy, Stanley Cup to his credit, able to work his way along. Kennedy threw one, bad angle, ricocheted off the cage, dealt around behind, and it is Gleason taking over. The big man able to lob one ahead. Glenn Cross able to spear it loose there, locked up with Nelson, poked back along and swung right back in again by Anders Lee. Holtby turned one along, and Lee got there, but it skipped on through he and one of the Capitals. It's outletted as far as Wisnowski, who glides back and plays on. 4 minutes to go, first period. Shots are 15-5 in the game. Neither team has scored. Gleason in a tie-up with Lee. And then Green. Flown high, paddled away by Halak. Taken over now by Hickey. Hickey led one ahead, spiked away from Opozo, and a good play now by Alzner. Rolled it back in and then took a hit from Hickey. Wisnowski has trouble there. Guided one into traffic. It's flexed away by Nielsen and given back to him. Carried right back ahead and handed on to Opozo. Wants to go by and is able to turn with it. Opozo side of the net and driving to the net. Unable to come up with that one was Josh Bailey. Fed back along to Opozo. Hurries one, and that deflected to the corner glass. DeHaan brushed it along. Bailey takes it there, denied neatly by Niskanen. Fed along now by Opozo. Stashed right back by Cizikas. Opozo wanting to swagger by. Brooks Lake says no. Shoves him off. Takes it over. But it is pushed on back to DeHaan. Flies it into the, or rather toward the catching glove. I thought he was going to grab that one and put it back in play. But nonetheless, he got it done. He being Holtby. 15 for 15 for him. For Halak, 5 for 5. Directed in by Cizikas. The Shockers out there again. A little pass ahead. That's brought back up and handed on to Ovechkin. Sized up by Boychuk. Crosses through. Oh, and lining him up was Matt Martin. This one is brought right back ahead, and Leddy is there. Gaining the zone. Clutterbuck flips one and then foisted off by Mike Green. Was Martin, and then Martin goes running into Gleason. Peeled off now by Tavares, dragging along in traffic before he lost it to Ward.
Bad slash on Matt Martin's hand. He left the ice without a glove.
Green plays on. Backstrom plays it back in, and the carnage factor has raised itself in the first period. It is Leddy from Boychuk. Under 2 minutes to go. Tavares brings it on. Escapes to the outside and swung one, and Holtby able to trap it in. Then it's whipped wide of the far post. Players are just now getting back to their feet, and on rushes Carlson. Carlson has a man in front, fires it, hit the frame. Around it's Carlson to play it yet again. Dropped right back in, and Hickey is there. Then Wisnowski works his way free. Harassed by Kuznetsov out to center. Led it too far up the wing. Carlson gave it up to Tavares. Wanted to play it across, could not. Orpik with a clever nudge ahead. That one cut off neatly by DeHaan and spun around now by Strome. Calvin DeHaan steps ahead, sends it right back in again. Around it goes to Carlson, lined up by Brock Nelson and hit, and a drive by Kennedy. Wound up going all the way around, and DeHaan will take it. Rushed ahead off Kennedy's stick, retrieved by Niskanen. Sent down was Light, and it's DeHaan chased down by Chimera. Anders Lee sent it back off. Tipped on for Straight. Angled back out, and it's taken by Alsner. 3/4 of a minute to go. And icing is called, a rare stoppage for that in this game.
Boy, a couple of real good chances at either end. John Tavares knifing through the middle of the ice. Quick little shot. Braden Holtby fights it off, and then Tavares follows through, and it goes past the far post. And then John Carlson short side off the post, and Yaroslav Halak, see him looking back over his left shoulder. The puck was over on the right. He had no idea where that chance from Carlson ended up.
Off the short glass, Niskanen. It directed out of play off one of the Islanders, and so there'll be nothing for this other than a face-off back near Holtby.
Talk about guys that are plugged in here this afternoon to start. Kyle Oposo of the New York Islanders has been physical. He's been skillful. He wants the puck. He's been double shifted, sometimes playing with John Tavares, a lot of times playing with Bailey and Nielsen. But Oposo's been tremendous here to start this game.
From the tie-up, it's Matt Niskanen. Has Ovechkin ahead. Played it through for Brouwer. Lobbed it back in, and Halak out to get it. From the trapezoid, the play is along near Bailey. To the back, though, Niskanen threw one that ricocheted back. Another shot, and that ricocheted off of Bailey. And it's taken by Alsner in the last 15. Bailey tried to run into him. Puck bounces right back to Bailey. Helps it along in an onside play. But plenty of time for Niskanen. 5 to go. The fans like what they've seen. One chance for Like. Gave it to Brouwer. And he held up on most of the steam of the shot because the horn had sounded. Liam McHugh, Mike Milbury, Keith Jones coming up on the Lexus Intermission Report. They will talk about that guy being back in rhythm, Braden Holtby. And Darling in the net for the Blackhawks. No scoring to tell you about. Glenn Cross and unsportsmanlike conduct at 3:26. DeHaan a trip at 8:07 and a lot of excitement around it, but no score. Welcome back to the Stanley Cup playoffs presented by Geico. No score going into the second period.
We go back to a play at the end of the period. There's Carl Alsner, and the Capitals have tried this a couple of times. Now, he's looking up ice, right? Watch Johnny Boychuk. He thinks he's going to pass the puck into this area here. But this is like a timing play in football. Watch this play up to Brooks Laich. This is the end of the period, right? There he is. No, he isn't. And now Lake's going to go shoot this puck, but it goes on edge. He tries to throw it over to Brouwer, and he throws a knuckler on Yaroslav Halak. Watch Halak's reaction here at the end of the period after he makes his save. Watch him. Very uncomfortable. Took him a while to get out of this position. It looks like he's flexing his left leg. Something to keep an eye on here moving forward. He is in the crease to start the second period, but that's the second time that the Capitals have tried to make that play.
Johansson is back. Fair is not. Brought ahead by Leddy and blocked down by Carlson. Leddy got it back and played through Tavares and taken along by Orpik. Lost to Tavares. Works to the outside and tried to chop it further. It's taken on by Kulemin, but he could not get it through Brooks Orpik. Ward flies it out. Ovechkin takes it there. But back out for Orpik to play back in. Delayed offside is wiped as this one is played through changing Capitals back down. Pierre, you notice Matt Martin taking a slash back in the first period. We're trusting from here. We're not sure he's back down at the bench too.
He is on the bench. He's good, and I had a chance to visit with him, and he said just a bruise.
To the back, a big shot, and a save made by Halak on a hard drive from Johansson.
And they also had to worry about Troy Brouwer standing right in front of the net. Just a quick developing play. Turnover along the boards. Good support there by Kuznetsov. Quick little shot, and then there you see Troy Brouwer. Good opportunity there for Marcus Johansson.
Yeah, he loaded that one up pretty well.
Good positioning, too, by Halak out on top of that blue paint, and Brouwer just on his right side.
From the tie-up, it is Wisniewski playing it along. Martin could not get it because of Beagle, but now it's Martin turning it across. Lug back ahead. Hickey can bring it on. Pitches it to the Clutterbuck corner. Clutterbuck shouldered down Niskanen, and then Niskanen bumped accidentally with Glencross. It is knifed on back, and Hickey could not stop that. It will go back down and will be an icing.
Well, it's a storyline that won't go away. The fourth line of the Islanders is lethal, not just with their skill and their speed. Clutterbuck scored in game number 2 to open the game, but it's also how hard they play at the point of attack. Matti Niskanen goes back for the puck, turns his back, and Clutterbuck puts him down. Cal Clutterbuck, Matt Martin, Casey Cizikas, man oh man, do they understand their role.
One hit for Cizikas in the first. Martin had 3, Clutterbuck 2. 6 of the 18, 1/3. Punched on back now for Alsner, led away from the reach of Tavares. Errant pass had come, but there's help for the Capitals because of Glencross dropping back. Beagle played it ahead to him. Swatted on, and Tavares will turn with it. Nicely denied by Niskanen. And so it is Hickey. Watched by Glencross, and it's over to Wisniewski. Lubomir Wisniewski cranking it right back in again, and around it curls for Alsner. Soccered it behind for Niskanen. Lobbed it ahead through Wilson. Kept alive and thrown toward the front by Hickey. Worked along now by Brooks Laich. Stalemated at the half boards by Martin. A save had to be made by Holtby on that one. Niskanen put it off the back of the cage, and a penalty is coming up. The call is a hook.
It's on Tyler Kennedy. The Islanders had some tired defensemen on the ice for the Capitals. Niskanen and Alsner. And then Tyler Kennedy in behind, reaches in, gets the stick around the hands of Matt Niskanen. So a power play coming for the Capitals.
Ovechkin is out. Getting ready to pitch camp at the left wing circle where the faceoff will take place. Backstrom will try to win it. Franz Nielsen goes in against him and wins it cleanly for the blast by Boychuk that goes around, and Ovechkin got in the way of it. Kulemin battles further. At the half boards, it comes right back to Halak for the tap for Hickey and as far as center. 17 shots to 6. 1 each. 2.5 minutes played in the second period. Game number 3. Both teams have a prior victory in Washington. Brought ahead by Ovechkin. Feeds it on a cross, and it ricocheted and can be tapped back out again by Nielsen. And he will come to the bench and is replaced. Straight comes out, Cizikas as well. Clutterbuck working up front, and Boychuk. Those are the 4 killing for the Islanders. Johansson there. Dropped it on back Backstrom. Gives it on back Ovechkin, and that shot was knifed away by Clutterbuck. Rattled on around, Johansson takes it there. Dropped a little pass. Straight got there, could not clear out. Brouwer roars in with Boychuk. They try the other way, and it's Ovechkin. Backhanding it along, tipped away from Brouwer by Boychuk. Johansson there, stood up a bit by Cizikas and then given a swat as it comes all the way back down. 50 to go on the kill for the Islanders.
Good help by Boychuk on that last play, recognizing the pressure points and able to put it all the way down.
It is Ward run into by DeHaan, and again it is sent back down the ice. Nielsen comes to the bench after doing that. Another quick change for the Islanders here as we're down to the last half minute of this Capitals power play. Off Kuznetsov, shuffled away by Halak, taken on by DeHaan, and back down again. Not a shot on this power play thus far.
Which is amazing when you consider the Caps were number 1 in the regular season on the power play. Islanders 26th in the league on a penalty kill.
Just haven't been able to get it in and set it up at all.
Glenncross there, he got it back to the point, and Niskanen has it 2 seconds and 1. Out of the box, Kennedy, as that one is sealed up by Halak.
And they'll, part of the storyline for the Capitals is how great Alexander Ovechkin has been. He goes after Ryan Strome. He goes after Johnny Boychuk. He goes after John Tavares. His equal opportunity. He's fighting for his ice in front of Yaro a lot. But the matchup really to watch is Boychuk on Ovechkin. In games 1 and 2, when the Caps had last change, they really try to get him out against Hickey and Wisniewski. Here the Islanders get last change. It's usually when you're seeing the bigger bodies like Leddy and Boychuk against Ovechkin.
1 shot and 1 hit for the Capitals captain. Hickey connects on. Carefully played back out again by Anders Lee. Short of icing, it's played by Orpik. Jostled a bit there, recovers, and around behind. Stepping to the front is Nelson. Jousted out of the way by Altner, and a penalty is coming up. Delayed call is on. Misfired for Hickey. Run to the boards and glass by Chimera, and now the call.
That's going to be on Brooks Orpik. In behind the play, there's Brooks Orpik. Tyler Kennedy, who was in on the forecheck initially. Arm goes up. Power play coming for the home team, the Islanders.
Former Pittsburgh Penguin teammates and Stanley Cup winners together, Orpik and Tyler Kennedy.
Oposo working on one side, Lee on the other. He got that for Oposo, and it is gotten back to Tavares. Nielsen on the opposite side, the point man Leddy. Tavares gave it side of the net, feet in front, and Oposo denied by Holtby. Pitched high by Backstrom.
Oposo's laboring. He's coming off the ice. Ryan Strome's coming on. Oposo's seeking medical attention on the bench here.
Tavares quickly ahead. Strome able to send it back in. Lifted along and back out again, and the Capitals penalty kill has handled the first 35. Now Leddy. Sing-song chant of Holtby accompanies Boychuk. Rattled on around, and it is sent back over by Tavares. Kicked on back further for Brock Nelson, and to the back it comes. Boychuk there. Worked it along. Tavares takes over there. The quarterback on this unit sees it denied by Chimera and back down. It is a grit factor at this time of year that plays right into the hand and the skill set of Jason Chimera. Laid right on and rattled back in again, past Carlson to Strome, then back along for Bailey. Rattled on further for Boychuk. Half a minute to go, power play. Nelson side of the net. Turning along is Bailey. Boychuk tapped it back across. Wisniewski there. Boychuk again. Bailey to Wisnowski. On a cross. Strome. Boychuk. Getting that one in his glove is Holtby.
One of the real big body presence for the Islanders in this game number 3 is Kyle Oposo. You see him highlighted in the slot. And let's see what happens because he left in major distress.
It looked like Nicholas Backstrom give him a little bit of a whack on the hand. It was a delayed reaction and made his way to the Islander bench right in front of Pierre.
And he's back on the ice now with Tavares and Anders Lee. There's 17 seconds left in this power play.
He and Brooks Laich will take this face-off. Leddy and Boychuk, the point man. Opposite side shots. A right for Boychuk on the left. And a left for Leddy on the right. But moving ahead is Brouwer. Couldn't get out with it. Lee brushed it back to the corner, went in after it. Canceled by Alsner, swept along by Brouwer. And a bouncing puck was tough for Boychuk. One shot on this power play. 2 seconds and 1. And Orpik is out. Oposo tried to slip it on through. Lobbed by Laich, but kept alive by Leddy. Fires one. And that'll be in the glove of Holtby. Play stopped with 13:13 to go. Second period. From Long Island, there is no score still. Back inside the glass with Pierre.
Thanks a lot, Doc. Ever since he left the University of Minnesota, Kyle Oposo has been seen as the ultimate power forward in the National Hockey League. His skill and dexterity combined with his size and his skating and hitting ability makes him a lethal weapon. Not afraid to fight for his ice in the slot. Can beat you one-on-one off the rush. Crafty playmaker. Kyle Oposo's had it going on here this afternoon for the Islanders.
First ever NHL goal was scored on Martin Brodeur. Sat out a year in grade 7 from hockey to play basketball. Seems to have made a good choice for a career. Back down, this is handled now by Holtby and lobbed on for Carlson. Whacked off of Martin and high and out of play. Kraft is searching for America's most passionate hockey community, and it's down to the Final Four. The winning community will host an NHL preseason game and win $150,000 in arena upgrades. Vote now and help decide who will score the title of Kraft Hockeyville. Kraft Hockeyville, for the love of hockey. Tavares and Backstrom. Boychuk has to play at center and blast it back in. Strome on the forecheck with Kulemin, but brought ahead and lobbed over for Ovechkin by Backstrom, and the bouncer was thrown back in by Boychuk. Kulemin retrieves. 27 and a half minutes played in a 60-minute game, or at this time of the year, it can be more. And no score. And Leddy off the glove of Holtby, and wide.
What skill level there by Nick Leddy.
Another one, and Holtby is able to grab that one to his chest.
I think he was just absolutely shocked at all the room that he had through the middle of the ice. Just knifing his way through, and all of a sudden he goes right, skates left, and Holtby just fights that one off and just misses the far post.
Eddie, you talked about what a great acquisition for these New York Islanders. One of the better left side defensemen in the league when it comes to skating. And when he was in Chicago, when you had Duncan Keith along with that man Nick Leddy, you had some pretty good darn skaters on the left side along with Johnny Oduya. So you can see the impact he has on the Islanders here.
Much bigger role here, and greatest ability is what we just saw. His skating ability can skate you out of trouble, play on a power play, and get a lot more opportunity. And now he's going to be an Islander for a long, long time after signing a long contract.
7 years. He and Boychuk both got 7-year extensions. That's pretty good.
Wisnowski's down.
A shot is flexed away by Halak, and now the whistle will blow. Has not moved.
Well, Doc and Eddie, right from the start, this thing had all kinds of damage on it. And there's a hit by Troy Brouwer. And you see the remnants of that hit. Lubomir Wisnowski on the ice.
People may be wondering why the whistle wasn't blown when you had a player down on the ice. And if the referee doesn't think that the player is in horrible distress, he lets play go with that offensive team with a possible chance to score. And certainly Wisniewski is not looking good right now, but Troy Brouwer with the hit, and if he ever makes any contact with the head from that level, but good to see him back on the ice with almost that whiplash effect from the collision with Brouwer and Wisniewski. He's heading to the, looked like he was heading to the dressing room, but now he's made a turn back. And
I think you're right, Eddie. He's going to go off. But because a trainer came on, he had to leave the ice anyways. Doesn't mean he has to leave the bench, but he has to leave the ice.
It may or may not be connected, but in his career, 6 concussions. So anything around his head always brings concern. Meanwhile, there'll be a face-off near Halak. 21 shots Islanders, 8 shots Capitals, and no score. From the tie-up, it's pushed on through, and Brouwer wedged off by Straight. Poked at the half boards by Clutterbuck, read by DeHaan. Moves ahead, took a look at Martin, and decided, I'll play the roulette wheel. Clutterbuck pushed it along. Run into was Johansson and shoved a second time by Martin. Meanwhile, it's tapped back deeper. Kuznetsov there. Zizekas with a hit on Niskanen. Meanwhile, it is brought back ahead by Alsner, dropped it back to Johansson, and his shot was stifled on a good back check by Zizekas, and a throw in front, and Halak saw it squib free. We did, but the referee was in a position where he did not, and so the whistle is blown. Well, we've got a busy card. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, we do, Doc. Coming up next, Game 3, Blackhawks Predators from the United Center, and tonight on NBCSN, doubleheader. Canadians visit Ottawa. The Canucks will head to Calgary. And then tomorrow, Game 3 back in Pittsburgh. Rangers and Penguins series tied at 1.
Little goalie change in the Ottawa-Montreal series. Craig Anderson in. The Hamburglar Andrew Hammond out.
And some anticipation in Calgary for a lot of reasons about the start of that game tonight with Vancouver. That series is 1 apiece. Derek Engelland has now tied Dave Schultz for the most penalty minutes in a game, 42. All of them coming in the third, and he broke Ed Hospodar's old record for the most in a period. Boxcar was at 39, and the 42 passes that.
Some tired Capitals on the ice, fresh legs coming on for Jack Capuano's New York Islanders, Tyler Kennedy, Anders Lee, Brock Nelson against some tired Washington Capitals.
There's been one time in this period, we talked about matchups in the open. Jack Capuano would want to get John Tavares away. I know what the matchup has been going head-to-head against Backstrom, and when Backstrom flies out there, it's Carlson and Orpik.
Kennedy to the back, drive, and that one blocked down. Getting in the way was Ward. Settled down and twisted back on for Nelson. Able to pull away from Backstrom enough to control. Backstrom harassing him, and it's knifed right back across the net mouth, and Orpik hunted down and checked by Kennedy. Backstrom turns to this. Nelson tried to close him off, didn't get much of him. Meanwhile, the puck comes back to center. And everyone on the lookout because both teams hit.
Especially when Ovechkin's on. The Islander bench letting the players know when Ovechkin's out there to be aware.
Thrown out of play. 10:08 to go, second period of play, and we have no score. This is the last 6 years. Cal Clutterbuck doesn't look tired from 1,710 hits. His line mate, Matt Martin. Down the way, Alex Ovechkin, 12-24. You would not want to be careless on the ice with any of these 10 guys.
What's interesting about Clutterbuck, Doc and Eddie, when he was playing for the Minnesota Wild, they sold more Cal Clutterbuck sweaters than any other player on the team. When he was there, he was so popular with their fan base.
Islanders having their way with the faceoffs this period. Won 12 of 14 faceoffs.
A feed to Lyko, and off the tip of the glove of Halak, and then off the glass. Shoved ahead. Oposo couldn't get there. Stepping in the way was Green. The fans wanted a penalty as that goes through Lyk, and Halak will cover. 9:44 to go. Second period of play. Islanders nothing and the Capitals nothing.
Forward because of the injury situation. How does that affect how you coach?
Well, we made them up in the first period. I mean, we had two guys go down, a couple of skate problems. It was a little tough, but we got through it. We knew we were going to have the energy, or they were going to have the energy, and we had to weather that storm. We did. Game's starting to settle down. Now we got to start pushing forward, get pucks behind their D, and start working here.
Thanks very much, Bill.
Right.
A well-schooled career coach, 15 years in Nashville, 5 in the Washington organization at Baltimore and at Portland, won a Calder Cup and Coach of the Year in 06 in the American Hockey League. That one nubbed down, can be carried on and blasted by Boychuk and grabbed by Holtby, and he will just wait this out.
Eddie, you were talking about the faceoffs. Is that because the Islanders are the home team? They get to put their stick down first?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt there's an advantage to come in second. I mean, use the analogy of, starting a race when somebody starts from a standstill and you get an opportunity to get a running start. I mean, that's the advantage. And sometimes, Pierre, it just goes in cycles a lot of the times, and if you can anticipate when that drop's coming, just like on that last opportunity, but Like is able to win that faceoff.
It is like bringing it ahead and giving it across, and Glenn Cross was wide with the shot.
Right idea there, too. Halak looked like he was just a step slow, moving right to left.
Wisnowski has returned on the ice right now. Meanwhile, trying to fight his way through is Hickey. Slowed down and jabbed one to the front that just went away from Kennedy. Curling is Wisnowski. Kennedy a shot. Battled for it at the front of the net, off Lee and blocked by Holtby. Turned along by Niskanen and gotten by Alsner. Very calmly back the other way. Weave the Caps and Glenn Cross into the glove of Halak, who covers.
So the Islanders have been able to enter the zone, get something set up, and then the shot from Tyler Kennedy was filling in for Wisnowski, and that's a terrific right pad save. Braden Holtby on Anders Lee.
And Eddie, for Barry Trotz, this team has 10 shots on goal. This playoff season, they've averaged 30 through first 2 games of the playoffs. So it speaks to what the Islanders have been able to do, winning faceoffs and dictating the terms physically.
Yeah, and the matchups as well, much different, as you pointed out. Back in D.C., and all it takes is that one time, and especially in a game like this, where you're looking for the first goal, where you can put your players or a certain matchup that's advantageous for your team.
It's on for a shot by Backstrom that is held by Halak.
Nice play by Joel Ward. Enter the zone, finds Backstrom, moving to his left. Tries to go upstairs, and that puck just sticks to Yaroslav Halak.
Joel Ward, such a reliable player for Barry Trotz and the Washington Capitals. Spent 3 years playing for Barry Trotz in Nashville. But he's just one of those guys every single day, no maintenance. Shows up, works hard, great teammate, phenomenal person.
There's those shots that Pierre was touching on, where Washington's been averaging those shots. But talking to Barry Trotz before the game, asked him just who he thought has kind of gone under the radar here in the first 2 games of the series, and he mentioned Joel Ward right away. That was the first name that came out of his mouth.
Drive by Gleason, snagged by Halak.
Jack Capuano is furious. He thinks that the Washington Capitals interfered in this face-off play, and they did. You see Joel Ward steps in a clutterbuck. He can't get out, and they're going to change the lines. Tavares goes right by Kevin Pollock, the referee, and says, watch the interference. But that was clearly interference in the regular season, maybe not so much in the playoffs, Eddie and Doc.
What was it you were telling me you were told, Pierre, about the 2 seasons?
There's a standard for 82 games, and then there's another standard for the rest of the season.
Well, here is DeHaan banging one along, hoping for Strome. Pushed on back, though, and Ward has it. Ward fed it on Ovechkin, fanned on the shot. DeHaan marches back out and hands on now for Strome. Angled on a cross, straight turns there, boomed into by Ovechkin. Tapped on back to him, and he hurries it behind to Strome. Then led on back, and unable to pull the trigger on it, was straight. Cranked Wisnowski, and then run off, and he skidded across the ice on the hit from Ovechkin. Dragged along now by Tavares. Tavares worked on by Backstrom. Fans thought there might have been something there, but Backstrom now soccers it on, and Ward is able to flip it out. Knife down by Carlson. Trouble came there, though, and then Backstrom got in the road of Tavares so that he couldn't make the play, all of it legal. Right back ahead with it, and turning on is Hickey. Hickey leads it ahead. Shot one, save made. Rebound. Oh, and Oposo couldn't get it through. Laid to the back. Wisnowski a shot. Score!
Well, that puck changed direction in front of Braden Holtby. After taking a huge hit from Alexander Ovechkin, Lubomir Wisnowski takes this shot, changes direction, and beats Braden Holtby. 1-0 lead for the Islanders.
Now you get bodies to the net, you get people with their sticks on the ice. We've talked about Oposo and how big a presence he's been, the rolling puck. Oh, and he definitely goes off his leg or his shaft of his stick. But Eddie, I love what you said about Wisnowski. Takes a massive hit from Ovechkin. He doesn't stay down. Remember earlier in this period, he got waylaid by Troy Brouwer, had to go for some repairs, comes back. But you can see right from the start of the game, Oposo was ready to rock for the Islanders here.
As often happens after goals are scored by the Islanders, the shock troops come out. You can see them because it is television, but you can also hear what they do. And now there is a penalty to the cap.
And it's going to be on Troy Brouwer for tripping. A mad scramble right in front of the Capitals bench. Martin and Clutterbuck taking a run at Brouwer, and then Brouwer came out of the off the boards, takes the penalty.
Doc and Eddie, Doc was just talking about the fourth line coming on after every goal, for or against. Matt Martin talked Troy Brouwer into that. He lined up against him, and he got Brouwer upset. You see Brouwer pushing, nothing wrong there. Clutterbuck comes over. They went after him because of Wisnowski, and then the trip. That all started on the faceoff. Assist, Jack Capuano.
Wisnowski and Bailey get the assists on the goal by Oposo, second of the playoffs. And the power play on. Leddy handed it over to Tavares, and then to Leddy, and then across to Nielsen. Nielsen has a man side of the net. That's Lee. Decides to go there for Oposo, and that shot turned aside. And then Backstrom able to wedge it back down on the backhand.
Good defense there from John Carlson.
And there's that subtle little wrinkle for the Islanders on the power play, stacking the slot.
Racing on is Nielsen, and the shot deflected up into the mesh. The stick from Carlson. Latter stages second period now, and the first goal scored. Off the tie-up, Beagle battling, knifed away by Brooks Light. And Light steps in to take it further. Lee held to the boards. Alsner doing that. Light trying to pick it free. To the back it comes now, and it's held by Leddy. Oposo drifts, and Alsner checked him. Back in deep, it eludes Lee. Beagle there. Run off by Lee. They try it the other way, and it careens back down, and coming out to take this one is Halak. 3/4 of a minute to go on the power play. Pivotal game 3, both teams with a victory. Carlson pitched it along. Strome got it there. Handed it on to the back. Wisnowski, then Boychuk. Fires, and that one knocked down. Quickly head back. It is Wisnowski drifting along, and Ward was watching. Wisnowski hands it on across. Strome there, and a shot ricocheted off Holtby. Right back along, and he's able to block that soft. Played back along, and Boychuk has it again. 12 to go on the power play. Strome to the outside. Got it back to Boychuk. Then fed Wisnowski. Then back to Strome. Boychuk again. Wisnowski again. Knuckler off high on Holtby and eventually paddled away. Penalty time is up to Brower. Gets back in the play. Strome fed one, got it back again. Lays it along to the outside, and it's pushed back by Bailey. Popped up high, and it's taken along eventually by the guy who initially touched it, Carlson. And Wisnowski flips one that's carefully played away by Brooks Orpik.
That's a defenseman out of gas right now for the Capitals. Orpik and Carlson.
Cizikas in. Shoved hard to the boards and glass by Orpik. Hit was Backstrom by Clutterbuck. Carlson with a long pass ahead. Ovechkin going after that, and icing is called. They can't get off.
Got some tired defensemen on the ice for the Capitals. Maybe they use their timeout here.
AD, the Bible continues, has captivated America. Tonight, discover the show TV Guide calls Inspired. All new AD, the Bible continues tonight at 9/8 Central, followed by American Odyssey on NBC.
Well, Barry Trotz went up to Todd Reardon, the assistant coach. He runs the defense for the Capitals. Do we need a timeout? Reardon said no.
This one popped up high. Finesse back in by Johansson, sized up by DeHaan and taken to the boards and glass. And the puck went back along for a play back ahead to Anders Lee. Dropped on back DeHaan, a shot blocked to the glass by Holtby. Emerging with it is Mike Green. Lays a pass that ricocheted off Johansson and is fed right back in by Brock Nelson. 3:55 to go second period. The shots are 29-12. 13-7 this period, Islanders. Brought on by Johansson trying to get by. Fed one where turned out Kuznetsov had just been, and a shot by Gleason ricocheted wide. Wafted back out to center ice, and it can be carried right back on again by Frans Nielsen. Got it on back. Bailey there, pushed it on further, and it ricocheted off of Pozo.
Bailey had a chance to shoot that puck, and he decided to pass.
He does again, this time to Wisnowski. Threw one in front that's poked aside and then jammed at by Bailey, but getting a stick in the way and then losing it was Green. Another shot from Pozo was stopped by Holtby. Holding it now is Hickey. Shovels it off Wisnowski. Hickey drive! Blocked up high by Holtby to the glass.
Shots are 30-12 for the Islanders.
Poked along back to the point. Wisnowski yet again. Walks it on a cross. Drive! And that one blocked back off by Glenn Cross. Now it's Hickey in deep. That ricocheted off Green. Battled for it. The front of the net and Stoke just wide. A lot of pressure. 2:50 to go. Brower could not finesse through. Right back in they march. Strome with it there. Drive, save, Holtby. Driving to the net, Kuhlman. Works on to the outside. Got it back to Strome. Sets it up. Drive Boychuk. And it went wide as getting a piece of it. Kuhlman at the front of the net. Cleared on back again, and it's Leddy. Able to step right back. Shoots one. Blocked aside. Leddy tries to get it again. Filtered it on through, hoping for Tavares, and he got it there. Tavares there, canceled out momentarily by Gleason to the back. Boychuk across. Leddy a drive. Getting a piece of it again was Holtby. It is Gleason carried off by Kuhlman. All the pressure back in the Islander end, and finally it's broken with a toss back down the ice that will not go for icing. And the Capitals can get the change they desperately needed. Now it's Alsner. Rattled it on around, and then he's run into by Martin. Clutterbuck pulls it free. Clutterbuck nudged one. Gleason popped it back out again, and it's settled down by Cizikas for DeHaan. Martin brushed it across. Alsner sent it right back in again. Jammed around by DeHaan, waiting is Brooks Light. Light dealt it behind, and that ricocheted off Chimera. Lee to play it there, run into by Jay Beagle, and it's like a shot, and that one went off the mark. Played on further by Alsner. Rattled on around for Chimera. Chimera got it out in front, and Beagle's shot was blocked, and a penalty is coming up. A high sticking call. And a power play coming up to the Capitals with 1:20 to go in the second. 1-0 Islanders.
We see the puck in behind Brian Straight. Look where his stick is, right? No problem, but watch what ends up happening. This is where I like to see defensemen with one hand on their stick in the defensive zone. Not going to be able to lift that puck up like that. Errant stick, right call. Power play coming for the Capitals, and they need some momentum on their side because right now it's all Islanders.
Chances are 12-3 Islanders. Maybe it will change on the power play for Washington. Backstrom has Brouwer nearby. Puck came onto the back now, and it is held by Carlson. Then Backstrom with a shot, and that's skittered across. Rattled on around. Brouwer saw it go on to Johansson and then to Backstrom. The triangle is right over there for Ovechkin, and that shot hurt Boychuk, but he stays in the play. Onto the back, Carlson. Bounced on around, and it's handed on to Brouwer. Stashed it in deep. Johansson holding there. Backstrom to the outside. Carlson a shot, and that one blocked off. Another try by Ovechkin that would not go. Brouwer got it behind. Johansson taps it along. Backstrom run into there, and the puck popped up loose because of the Kuhlman hit. Now Ovechkin gains the zone, looks over his options. Shooting is one of them, and that's blocked wide by Boychuk. Worked along to the outside. Backstrom. Carlson faked the drive. Got it back onto Backstrom again. It's Ovechkin, and the trigger pull ricocheted off Boychuk, who challenged. They duel again, and it comes to Carlson. On a cross for a hurried pass, and it's Ovechkin again. Waits now, pulls his way. Oh, and it's brushed away. As just battling every inch of the way was Johnny Boychuk. Standing ovation for Boychuk. And the second period is over.
Desperation mode and high fives all around for number 55. Johnny Boychuk gets beat and then makes like a helicopter. Swings that stick around. Ovechkin thinks he's got something. But a huge play at the end. And I mean at the very end of that second period.
Shots are 33-13 Islanders, 1-0 Islanders. Liam McHugh, Mike Bilberry, Keith Jones. Coming up on the Discover Card intermission report, Wisnowski bounces back. Jonathan Taves talks about Game 3. A pozo from Wisnowski and Bailey at 12:37. There is some carryover time on the Washington power play into period number 3. Third period about to start here. Let's look back 10 years. Brendan Shanahan's brother Brian and I were at the National Lacrosse League All-Star Game in Calgary, and watch on the far side. That's John Tavares fighting his way through in sudden death overtime and scoring the winning goal. At 47, his 24th year this year with the National Lacrosse League Buffalo Bandits. And his nephew said, "I did play some lacrosse, but I leave that to my uncle." All-time leading scorer there, and the nephew finished just second in scoring, 1 point away from the Art Ross Trophy share. That was taken by Jamie Benn. Okay, power play continues, half a minute to go. Caps trying to tie this game up. The series is tied, and this is Game 3. Hickey makes them chase.
There's that delayed entry on the power play, and the Islanders sniffed it out.
Backstrom had it brushed away by Cizikas. Walk back on now by Johansson. Fed one across. Drive by Ovechkin went wide.
If he hit the net there, I'm right on that shooting line. That's in.
Straight is out. Full strength action. Orpik the toss, ladled back in again by Kuznetsov. It is Leddy. Stick down. Chopped along further and taken by DeHaan. Rattled around now, and it's Brock Nelson. Run into by Orpik after he'd played it behind. More dueling there. It's away from Kennedy, and Nelson steps to it. Fed one on for Leddy. Persists with it now, and then Green went in, but Leddy battles with him further. Kennedy and Kuznetsov doing more. And then Orpik intercedes. 5 players trying to step free with it was Kennedy, and it came along to Brooks Light. Shifts from defense to offense for the Caps. Orpik's shot shrugged high by Halak. Taken around behind by Orpik, still near that stray stick. Jammed on by Orpik to the back. Niskanen, a shot deflected right on goal, and a pad stop is made by Halak. It's Beagle handing it back. Niskanen with it there. Banked one off the boards. Ward chased off. Still that stray stick is there, and it goes to the corner where the referee retrieves it. Now a long turning with this is Beagle. Yanked it on further. They get the cycle going, and it's played by Glenn Cross to Beagle again. Beagle to the outside, points it back. Alsner rattled it back in off Beagle's stick. Working down low, off the back of the net. Taken on by Ward. Tried to feed in front, but it is taken on by Opozo and nicely chopped away by Glenn Cross, and they have to retreat again. Letty rattled it around and stepping to it, Niskanen shooting one, blocked right back down by Halak and shoveled back out by Opozo.
Be the best sustained pressure for the Capitals at even strength all afternoon.
Which was what happened in game number 2 in Washington. After a slow first period for the Caps, they started to take it over, and you could see the push in the third.
Ovechkin from one knee played it, but DeHaan got it. Nudged on to Bailey, run into, but not until he played it near Tavares. And pivoting back now with it is Orpik.
No Boychuk on the ice against Ovechkin. One of the few times in this game we haven't seen Ovechkin against Boychuk.
At the half boards, 2 aside. Kulemin poked it on. In the way, Orpik kicks out to DeHaan, and they must play between the blue lines, and he'll skate it back farther. Straight's passes on the money to Tavares. Brought it in and a shot, and that turned aside. 34 shots to 16 Islanders. Oh, in front, another opportunity for Kulemin. Led to the back now, Wisnowski. Fed one to the deep slot. Tavares couldn't get it through. Kulemin, a jamming backhander that was shut down by Holtby. Now it is Orpik. Hands on to rugged Tom Wilson. Wilson connects on. Wanting to breeze back in Kuznetsov. Drives around behind. Back pass. Oh, and a save by Halak on Johansson. And play is stopped.
And that's Marcus Johansson's play along with Kuznetsov. They're so good at that, gaining the net and throwing it back, Eddie.
Boy, what a sequence here the last couple of minutes. The Islanders with a couple of good looks. Great lift of the stick there by Kulemin. Orpik was going to go play it in all-in-one motion on the backhand. The opportunity on Braden Holtby, and then Pierre talked about it. Kuznetsov and Johansson skate one way and throw it back the other way.
Yeah, and the Matty Niskanen during that wild sequence launches one on goal. Tail end of the season, Kuznetsov hooked up in a play like that with Johansson to score a goal for the Capitals against the Bruins in a 3-0 win.
It is Ward there. Fed one in front. Kuznetsov. Oh, and that one is deflected up out of play.
Tyler Kennedy and Kuznetsov jousting, Eddie. Good board play. Joel Ward throw it out front. Skate, stick, get it on goal. The skill level of Kuznetsov is fantastic. He'll just continue to evolve as a super skilled player. One of his best friends in the league had a hat trick yesterday for the St. Louis Blues. Vladdy Tarasenko.
Good stick there from Calvin DeHaan after Kuznetsov got inside position. The Capitals have really gained some traction here. A lot of their offense here has started from below the goal line, working the defenseman for the Islanders.
DeHaan to Bailey. Straight. But through Nielsen and down, and an icing is called.
Well, the first Saturday in May, 13 days from today, but who's counting? The race for the Triple Crown begins with the Kentucky Derby. Coverage begins April 29th on NBCSN, and it all leads up to the big race. Saturday, May the 2nd, right here on NBC.
Any tips?
Not yet. Going to be one heck of a race, a very deep race.
Alsner. But Nielsen. Opozo on his right, and that's where he went. Off Opozo, and Niskanen moves in. Opozo freed it up. No luck there for Bailey. Half boards play. Opozo takes it there. Led it on a cross, and that blocked all the way to the point. Held there by Boychuk. Rattles it back in deep. Bailey tried to pop it along. Stood up there by Alsner. Roughed up a bit as well. Opozo can't turn with it. Tucked across neatly now by Backstrom, and Brouwer connects with Ovechkin. Ovechkin making some moves on Boychuk, who's with him every inch of the way. To the outside now, it's Brouwer. Brouwer fed one across the net mouth wide. Swatted at by Bailey and back out again. 5 minutes played. third period. Dramatic game here. It is 1-0 the home team. Boychuk run into by Ovechkin. Flips him down to the ice in retaliation. Angled on back now, and Kulemin can take it. Skies one well wide to the corner, and Orpik moves in with Cizikas. Brushed along and taken back up by Jay Beagle. But then it is Wisnowski. Then he lost it, and it comes near Halak, but guiding it along is Hickey. Back up the boards, it comes to Martin. And so it's Gleason. A lot of this from the circles on out. Clutterbuck didn't get much on that one.
Green saw him coming on that last.
You could hear him coming too, Eddie. Well, the matchup that's been taking place most of the afternoon, 55 in blue against 8 in white. Keith, Mike, and Liam talked about it. We've showed tape on it, and you see Johnny Boychuk play the man, not the puck, and finish. And then Ovechkin doesn't quit on him. He's so good at identifying guys that play against him, and he gives them back just as much as he takes.
Brief report on a champion. In Knoxville last night, the Ice Bears won the Southern Professional Hockey League President's Cup from the Mississippi River Kings. And an Islanders draft pick, Mike Murray, is president and general manager of the championship team. Mike Cragen is the coach. Congratulations to them. Rattled on around now, and it comes on back for a shot by Brouwer that was directed by Lyke and into the paraphernalia of Halak. Lifted along further and is held at the line and given across to Lyke again. Shot one that's blocked down by DeHaan. Away from Wilson, he's able to scoop it along now to Straight. Back up the boards, blocked right back again. Wilson turning with it, had it brushed away. And losing his stick on the play was Nelson. Meanwhile, this is played along by Lyke. Wilson right there to get it. Big guy's doing a job here. Onto the back, Niskanen. Handed across to Alsner. Deep slot, Lyke. Blast one, and getting a piece of that was Halak. Chopped along by Lee. Back deep to DeHaan. And DeHaan is searched out, but he's able to get a little pass across to Nelson. Nelson dumps it in, comes to the bench for another change.
All Capitals right now after we saw all Islanders for the majority of this game through 2 periods.
Boychuk pressed by Ward. Kuznetsov duels with Tavares. Kuznetsov fed it along, and Ward dragged it free. Ward to the corner, threw one off the outside of the cage. Tavares plays it there. Away from Johansson, up the stroke. Handed it on across, and that ricocheted off Kulemin, and they have to retreat. Leddy again. Wheeled along, and Boychuk didn't get much of that, so he has to skate to it, and this time stashed it along. Virtually every move is met by an attempt, and sometimes a successful hit. Tapped on by Orpik. Gotten on by Ward. Shift change for the Islanders, and just scampering out of play was Hickey.
Almost too many men there.
Very close, Eddie.
Well, Braden Holtby back in the lineup here this afternoon after missing game 2, but go back to game 1. He got ill on the way to the game in game 1. His head coach Barry Trotz told us that he had to stop a time or two to get sick as he was getting ready to get to the arena, and he has come back in a big way here in game 3.
Went through the entire family as well. Everyone troubled, and when you have little ones, you worry even more about them. Here is Backstrom flipping one that's off the glove of Ovechkin and wide. And then fed and fanning on a Brouwer. Drive by Carlson is held by Halak. 11:58 to go, third period. Islanders 1, Capitals 0. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs presented by Geico. Let's take a look at Cal Clutterbuck's line in our player profile with insights from SAP. Now that's the total number of hits. Martin and Clutterbuck ranked first and second in the league. That's this season. Now this is not completing 3 games yet. 14 today. 5'11", 200 is Clutterbuck. 5'11", 189 Cizikas. 6'3", 204 is Martin. Bailey freed it up. Follow up, Backstrom. Closed off by Leddy. Backstrom able to work to the outside, and Leddy right in his wake. Pushed it on along, did Backstrom, hoping for Ward, and he got him. Ovechkin is in front. fed it for him, and his stick lifted by Boychuk, and it skipped on through Orpik. Carlson there. Bailey, the harassing forechecker, now comes to the bench for a change. Shot troops come out for the Islanders. It's skyhooked back in by Orpik.
No Boychuk against Ovechkin again.
It is Ovechkin there. Cizikas watching him. A shove comes from behind by Wisnowski. These are not the bigger guys going up against Ovechkin now. He peels to the outside, and the shot blocked by Wisnowski. Loose puck is tipped on, and Martin able to step ahead. He's got Clutterbuck up the wing. Martin breezing in, guided one across, and Green took care of Clutterbuck. Cizikas blasted one that went off Beagle. It is Chimera poking it right back along again. Hickey able to fall, but play it further. DeHaan gave it along, and Clutterbuck yanks one that Cizikas tries to catch up to and can't. Niskanen pushed it right back in. DeHaan will try the other way, and that goes down for an icing.
And as we get down to white knuckle time, this is a thing to watch. How free can Ovechkin be away from Johnny Boychuk? It's the matchup that's so critically important for the Islanders here in game number 3 because they get last change. Ovechkin hasn't had a lot of room to run with today because of 55 in blue, and Ovechkin knows it.
Cizikas on this draw, but it is won by Kuznetsov. Johansson a shot, and that one staggered Martin a little bit, threw him off balance. Meanwhile, turning along with this, Kuznetsov wheels to the outside, set it up for a shot by Carlson that would not go. Clutterbuck back to his feet again. Cizikas tried to poke it along, could not. Clutterbuck after it again, but it's held by Carlson. Banked high, and that one hops out of play.
Eddie, what are you seeing from upstairs that the Capitals are doing better that's allowing them more offensive zone time?
Well, made mention of it probably about 5-6 minutes ago. Looks like, Pierre, they're just really getting the puck down low below the goal line and generating and working and grinding out the defensemen for the Islanders. In order to do that, you got to have strength in numbers. It just can't be one-on-one. It's got to be two guys in on the puck, and they really seem to be using that area of the ice where they gain some traction in their offensive part.
Nice move by Green. Couldn't get the pass through as Nelson was nearby.
Good recovery by DeHaan as well after he got beat.
Lee had it knocked away. Brock Nelson brings it ahead. Scorer of the first goal of the series is thumped into the half boards and slow to get up.
That's some northern Minnesota going after one another.
Racing back now is Like. Icing is waved off. Good hustle by Like, and a block there by Straight. Work back along again by Kennedy, and Kennedy banked one to the corner boards. It hopped near Straight, but is read first by Green.
Brock Nelson out of War Road, and Niskanen out of Virginia, Minnesota. Sorry about that, guys. I was talking about Minnesota battle.
Meanwhile, around behind it is Tavares taking it. Tavares stepping to the front, trying to get through. It's forced away by Kennedy, who goes right after it. And it's fed along to Ovechkin, stashed it on as far as center, and it's poked even further by Backstrom. In a hustle there with Leddy, and Leddy prevailed for now.
That was that great skating ability of Leddy.
Hickey to Tavares and back in again.
Eddie, at what point does a fatigue factor set in on the Caps? Every other shift, it looks like it's Ovechkin, Backstrom, and Ward.
You're going to get a TV timeout here shortly. They're starting to gain some looks and some confidence. Passes are happening. You just shorten up your shifts. More opportunity to get out there. If instead of going 35, 40 seconds, you just get it down to maybe 25.
And don't forget they lost Eric Fair in the first period.
No icing on this play. Boychuk goes chasing this down. A linesman in the way, trying feverishly to get out of the road. It's Orpik with it there. Fires, and that deflected wide as getting a piece of it was Wisnowski. Poked along now by Nielsen and taken on by Ward. Bull in the China shop. He gets it on back now for the play on by Alsner. Wheeling with it is Backstrom. Stashed it back in. Right after it is Ovechkin with Ward patrolling at the front of the net. Now he steps for it. Ward able to guide it along. Wisnowski on him, but Ward prevailed, dropped one in front, carefully played by Boychuk to center, and Bailey took the hit but lobbed it back in. Both teams make a change. Under 8 to go. And that one is deflected out of play.
Well, we saw
7:48 to go, third period of play here from Nassau Coliseum. Islanders 1, Capitals nothing.
Go back and show that rush from Mike Green. He goes around Calvin DeHaan. I thought it was DeHaan that came back and put some pressure on. Stick under, and then Brock Nelson with a great back check to deny Green, a defenseman, jumping in.
And Eddie, the boys from northern Minnesota get together. Matty Niskanen out of Virginia and Brock Nelson out of Ward Road, Minnesota. Niskanen had a brilliant career at Minnesota Duluth before turning pro with Dallas.
Capitals with 9 of the 12 shots taken in this third period. Green on over to Carlson. Chimera is out there at a forward position with Beagle and Glenn Cross. Lob back in and Carlson right back after it. But it's DeHaan prevailing, giving on to Lee. Green is dropped back with Chimera defensively, and it's thrown to the Chimera defensive side. He takes care of Kennedy, coming by as Carlson. No harm there. Green lobbed it on. Glenn Cross took it there. Sent it back along, and it's DeHaan. Off the glass, unable to stop it as straight. Turnaround, Glenn Cross jammed away, but into some traffic by Halak, and back down a descent for an icing. Not many birthdays. We want to mention Randy Carlisle, Martin Havlet, Robin Regier. And we want to salute Bob Chase, the radio announcer in Fort Wayne, 62nd year with the Fort Wayne Comets. He will be 90 in January, and last night they won for him his 500th playoff game. Congratulations to him. And a stoppage of play on a timeout. It is the Islanders who have called it.
One of the things the Islanders did so well in game number 1 of this series is closing off in the neutral zone and taking the speed element out of the game for the Washington Capitals. Here you can see it, just one forechecker, closing and sealing the middle. The Washington Capitals try to adjust to it, but that's a dump and chase game. That's not their speed game, and that's one of the things that Jack Capuano has been stressing on the bench, Eddie.
Well, you hit it on the head with the dump and chase, and it may not be what the Capitals want to do, but if you start trying to stick handle through 2 and 3 players and a quick transition team like the Islanders, the puck's going to end up back in your zone very quickly. But for the Capitals, when they've gotten the puck down low below the tops of the circle, in particular below the goal line, they've generated and created. So recognition, and make sure you make a decision by the red line to give your forwards a chance to get in on the forecheck if you do have to shoot the puck in and go get it.
Thrown to the front of the net by Ovechkin, and that rattled around but is eventually cleared back out, and it's Niskanen to take it and blast it right back around again.
Kennedy blocked that shot with his right hand, and he's trying to shake it off. Now he's on the bench.
Backstrom turning with it there, pivots away from Brock Nelson. Backstrom around behind, has Ovechkin in a shooting hole in front, taps it to him. Ovechkin a hurried shot, and that blocked away by Straight. Ovechkin wheeling with it again. Threw one in front. It went through Straight. Played along by Niskanen. Ward there outreached. Ovechkin able to turn away from Nelson. Wheels to the outside. Fed one to Green and a save. Rebound is poked away. Just a good reach at the last moment there. Made by Nelson as that one misfired on Ovechkin at the lip of the crease. Now it's Green again. Got it on to Backstrom. Turning with it there. Back to Green again. Green just holding and lobbed it on to Backstrom. Drifting further with it, and a shot! Score! Tie game with 6:06 to go.
Hard work. Playing below the goal line. Mike Green has an unbelievable chance right before this puck ends up in the back of the net. Actually shoots it back into Yaroslav Halak. There's that shot block that Pierre was talking about from Tyler Kennedy, and it's just a mad scramble from there. And there was no Johnny Boychuk on the ice when that puck ended up in the back of the net.
Because it was coming off an icing. Timeout was called by the Islanders to try to reel it in. But you could see the Caps, they had that little extra surge, and everything starts from below the goal line, as you have been talking about, Eddie, all game long.
The horn is sounded. Perhaps this is under review. And it is. All good. Game tied.
Backstrom shoots it through a maze of players. If that touches a stick above the crossbar, it's no goal. Looked like it didn't touch anything but net.
Strome run into with authority by Orpik. Wisnowski pushed it back in. Orpik to get it there. Wound it on around to Carlson. Chimera connects on with Beagle, and it's back in, and Lyke goes after it. Wisnowski got there first. Bothered by Lyke. Puck directed back out by Strome. Back to Chimera again. And we get a stoppage of play on an offside. 5:34 to go, third period of play. Backstrom has tied this game at 1.
Little adjustment by Barry Trotz, the head coach of the Capitals, on that last goal from Nicholas Backstrom. He had Mike Green out on the ice with Matt Niskanen, not Carl Alsner, so certainly trying to generate a little bit more offense.
Here's Cizikas moving in, right around in front. Shut off there by Holtby. Around it comes for Johansson. Sped one that was off of Brouwer. He doubles back and is able to bring it on. It is Hickey. Hoping for Wisnowski. Touched on by Johansson. Cizikas with some help. Battled on for Bailey, who can charge ahead. Met by Niskanen, and he shakes on by. Josh Bailey able to wheel around behind with it now. Bailey gave it onto the back, and it's straight with it. Shoveled one, and trying for the deflection was Nielsen. Bailey able to keep play alive and pop it back in again. Backstrom had it knifed away, but along it came now for control by the defensive Alsner to Niskanen. 4:40 separating these two teams from overtime. Right back up it comes to Ovechkin. Coming by Nielsen, checked him off. Backstrom steps out there too. It squibbed over to Bailey, skittered it on through for the play by Opozo. Opozo had it shunted along, and it's carried right back up by Ward. Taken into the boards by Lee, and escaping with it now behind is Leddy. Leddy connects up the wing, and Lee steps back out again. Lee tried to play it through. Second effort pushed it on for Strome. Around behind, it's sent on by Carlson. Kept for a little sling behind, and after it is Strome again, but it's prevailed upon by Green. Sent back along now to Lee. Lee twisted one further. Battling him is Mike Green, and it's sent on now for Nelson. Chopped off him by Carlson. Fed right out in front. Ovechkin couldn't collar it. A shot by Nelson, ricocheted off Backstrom, and then kicks on to the corner. Green able to shovel it along. Ovechkin didn't see it coming. Work to the outside and off the boards. It's Leddy. Leddy with a shot. Oh, and getting a piece of it at the last second was Holtby. 3.5 to go. Leddy takes over there. Leddy with a pass ahead. Flopped right back in again by Strome. Right near him once more. Jammed it behind. Getting up is Tavares to the corner. Closed off there effectively by Glenn Cross. Gloved on down and played by Kuhlman. But it's Backstrom. Flopped one along, and it wound up going out of play.
Well, a little bit of a push here by the Islanders. They've been on their heels the majority of this third period. Boy, that goes 5-hole on Carlson and just misses the left inside of the post there on Holtby.
The ever hard-working and industrious Casey Cizikas driving hard on Braden Holtby. He just can't get it to go. Fearless effort from Cizikas.
He will take the draw opposite Lyke. One back to Wisnowski. Given over to Hickey. Through one in front. It's held by Holtby. 3:03 left.
Nice job there by Wisnowski, and Hickey used the width of the rink. Caused some separation. Hickey was waiting for a lane, and he got it there. Just nobody standing in front, and Holtby did a nice job of making sure there was no rebound. Just get it right through, and the battle in front with Orpik and Clutterbuck.
Alsner sped it further, directed out by Glencross, bashed back in by Clutterbuck. Alsner flipped one along, bounced onto Chimera, flung it across, but it's cut by Wisnowski, steps right back in and dropped one. A nice kick to control there by Cizikas, but then he could not work any further. Leddy connects on. Cizikas pushed it in. and proceeds to go right in the corner with Niskanen. That one bumped along behind for the take by Alsner. Connects right back up ahead on the wing. Chimera flops it right back to the corner. 2:25 to go. Outreach there was Leddy by Glenn Cross, but turning with it is Nielsen. Trickled it on to Bailey. Picks up Leddy in stride, and Leddy tried to stoke it in, but Green got in the way. But then it's gloved down by Bailey, and he moves further. Dropped a pass on now for Opozo. Opozo side of the net, and that ricocheted on through. Diving play is made for a shot that's blocked away. Josh Bailey was the guy who sold out just then, and he gets it back. Bailey again. One-timer by Boychuk is blocked down in front and carried on by Glenn Cross, and angry as Nielsen, and all the way down it goes for an icing.
The big line for the Islanders is coming now. Strome, Kuhlman, Tavares. They get some very tired Capitals players, Eddie and Doc.
1:52 showing.
Trotz will call timeout.
It is the strategy that you wait a little bit before you call the timeout so you can get even more rest out of it. Shots in the period, 5 for the Islanders. 11 for the Capitals. The Islanders did not have a shot over a period of almost 9 minutes. You like numbers? Games 1 and 2, Capitals had 60. Average 30. How do you like that so far? Did I do okay?
Perfect.
24 for the Islanders today and 38, or 24 for the Capitals today and 38 for the Islanders. So these are not normal, but this game has an impact that is not normal as well. Capitals trying to get home ice back if they can win it. Islanders trying to tighten their grip on home ice if they can take it. Back at it. Kuznetsov, Tavares. Kuhlman got back up to play it on. Strove there. Handed it on back. Leddy drive, and it went just wide. Tavares was trying to tip at the front of the net. Rattled on around behind, and Green has it. Green able to skyhook one out to center. Glove down there by Johnny Boychuk. He's able to play it on, and it's swept by Tavares. Shaken back off the short glass again and swatted back in by Tavares. Orpik sent it on back. More changes. Tavares comes to the bench for the Islanders. That one is bounced back in off of Ovechkin and retrieved by Boychuk. Didn't get as much on it as he wanted, but the effect was the same as Bailey flopped it on back, and it's one-handed by Alsner. Carlson connects ahead. Here's Ward with a shot. Blocked down. And then eventually poked right back onto the half boards. Boy, Joel Ward escaped on that one, and Halak had to answer. No icing on this play. We are in the last 45 seconds as of right now in regulation time. Lugged back ahead by Backstrom. Backstrom turning with it, trying to shake Cizikas. To the back, a shot by Carlson is blocked down by Clutterbuck. Martin able to bring it back up for the Islanders. 3 men back for the Caps. It's sent to Clutterbuck, and a save made by Holtby. He came out to challenge. 25 to go. Blocked right back on and taken by Cizikas. Back up the wing it comes to Martin. Here's Martin, a shot. Carefully held by Braden Holtby in goal.
Well, what a shift for the fourth line for the Islanders. Cal Clutterbuck gets in the shooting lane, but his shift isn't over. Becomes a 3-on-2. Middle of your screen, there's Clutterbuck after a good pass there from Matt Martin, and Holtby well on top of the blue paint, so a real active shift for the team in blue.
Tavares on the draw. It squibbed through to Orpik. Sailed along, but pinching his Boychuk. Threw one around behind, and it went off Kuhlman. Right back, closed off by Orpik. Turning to the outside, Tavares. Banked it back. Leddy a shot, and that ricocheted off Brouwer. Touched right to the front. Careful block of it by Orpik, and that will do it on 3. 40 shots for the Islanders, 25 for the Capitals, and it will need overtime. A full intermission coming up. Liam, Mike, and Keith coming up on the Subway Overtime Intermission Report. They will discuss the Caps, get the matchup they want, and a look ahead to the Predators and the Blackhawks. Oposo from Wisnowski and Bailey, 12:37 second. Backstrom from Green and Ward, 13:54 the third. Who gets the next one and when?
Well, the news into Hunter. We've 8.5 minutes to play in the third period. Turgeon steals the puck, walks in. Oh, do you know? 5-1. He follows Pierre Turgeon, and then he just golfs him.
It was a shoulder separation to Turgeon, a 21-game suspension to Hunter. One of the fiercest of the matchups between these two teams. The last time they were in a playoff game, April 24th of '93, the Islanders won that one 4-3 here at the Coliseum on a goal in the second overtime by Ray Ferraro. We are 10 seconds away from starting overtime.
Let's see if Ray's son, Landon, can do what his dad did in these playoffs. Now a member of the Detroit Red Wings.
Got his first career goal last day of the year against the Carolina Hurricanes, Landon Ferraro.
Boychuk begins. And that one grabbed and pitched aside by Holtby. Carlson off Ward, kept alive. Leddy a shot. Oh, directed on goal. Score! Tavares! Bedlam. 2-1 Islanders in the game and in the series.
Well, off the opening faceoff, the Islanders are able to control it. Johnny Boychuk lets it go. Holtby doesn't hold on to it. He moves it to Carlson. Turnover. It's kept in by Leddy. The redirect. Great save from Holtby. And then from really a nasty angle, John Tavares beats Braden Holtby. But Holtby was off just a little bit, and it finds its way in behind the right side of Holtby and the post. That first save was outstanding, but John Tavares gets inside position on John Carlson, and from a nasty angle, he wins it in overtime.
There are all kinds of memories that are made at playoff time, and some of them are very lasting in just one game. Long anticipated because this is the final year they play in this place. And John Tavares, who started this telecast with Pierre, will help finish it.
Thanks very much, Doc. This just happened. Take us through the overtime winner.
Just good job off the draw, battling, getting puck possession. Good dump, good job by Nick, getting up to the point, put it to the net. I just went to the net, got the rebound and put it on net and went through him.
Johnny, for 40 minutes, you guys dominated the game. They pushed back in the third. They tie it up. What was discussed before overtime in the dressing room?
You know what? We've been giving up leads this year. We've held leads well. We've kind of been through it all, and it's prepared us, I think, for now. And just great character in the room, calmness, and we wanted to play on our toes, put them back on their heels, and we're lucky enough to get in the first shift.
What does this building mean to your group?
It's amazing. There's no place like this place.
When you go forward to game number 4, they're chanting for you, MVP. When you go forward, what's the message to start game 4?
They're going to respond. I mean, they're a character group too. This is going to be a heck of a series, and we're looking forward to another home game and obviously another challenge.
Congratulations, John. We'll see you for game 4.
Thank you.
Doc.
Final score in the game on the Tavares goal that you'll see one more time. Islanders 2, Capitals 1. In the series, Islanders 2, Capitals 1. For Eddie Olczyk and Pierre Maguire, Mike Emmerich. Coming up, Game 3, Predators and Blackhawks from Chicago, right after these messages.
Number 21.